Late at night, there's this older couple chilling in their living room when suddenly the man's head splits open, showing sharp teeth, tentacles, and eyes. The creepy creature grabs the woman's head and eats her. Shinichi wakes up to a weird voice saying it failed. He's confused, puts on his glasses, but sees nothing, figures it was just a dream. At breakfast with his parents, Kazuyuki and Nobuko, he says his right hand feels numb. Nobuko jokes it's from him wrapping his earphone cord around it while he sleeps. He skips the bacon and eggs for toast but burns his tongue after spotting a spider. Nobuko teases him about being scared of bugs. On the way to school, Murano tries to surprise him from behind, but he grabs her hand without thinking. When he realizes it's her, he acts like he didn't know and then accidentally grabs her chest, gets slapped for that. Yuko, another friend, picks up his glasses and asks about his hand, but he says it's fine. In class, Shinichi hides his phone under the desk and flashes back. The night before, some weird organism tried crawling into his ear but got blocked by earphones. It went into his nose, but he sneezed it out. Thinking it was a snake, he grabbed a book, but the thing darted into his hand instead. It crawled up his arm, so he tied his earphones around it to stop it. His parents found nothing wrong. Back in the present, he wonders if it's still inside him. At recess, Shinichi tries to apologize to Murano, but she ignores him. Yuko offers to help, noticing how strange he's been acting. On his way home, he sees a little girl chasing her ball into the street. A car speeds toward her, but Shinichi catches her just in time, then stops the car with his right hand. Suddenly, an eyeball appears on that hand. At home, he tries stabbing the hand, but it changes. Eyes sprout from 2 fingers and a mouth shows up in the center. It talks in weird sounds saying it ate his hand. Shinichi tries to attack it, but it snaps his knife in half. The creature asks him to teach it how to talk, then falls asleep. He looks online but finds nothing. The next morning, Shinichi wakes to find the creature, now split into 2 parts, reading about fish. It says it's not in any biology records and doesn't know where it came from. It failed to reach his brain, which saved his human mind otherwise. His head would have turned into a parasite form. It warns that cutting off the hand would kill it, but cost Shinichi the limb. Instead, it suggests they cooperate, with Shinichi controlling the hand when it's asleep. At breakfast, Shinichi surprises his mom by asking for bacon and eggs. His dad mentions some recent murders. On the way to school, Shinichi thinks about telling the police, but the creature warns he'd be treated like an experiment. Then it senses another of its kind and pulls him toward it. They find a dog parasite eating another dog. The dog's head twists into a bizarre shape and lunges at Shinichi. The hand creature rips out its heart, killing it instantly. Shinichi washes off the blood, shaken. Flashback 2 days earlier, a man kills a woman and laughs at the sky. At the same time, a parasite egg lands on Shinichi's home satellite dish. It hatches, and a snake-like creature crawls toward his window. Shinichi thought high school was tough. Then his right hand said bet. If you're still here, you're built different. So hit that subscribe button before anime gets even crazier. 3 guys are bothering a woman on the street when another man steps in and knocks them out. He walks the woman home, but the same guys ambush them again. Saying his stomach can't handle 4 bodies, he kills all 3 men and the woman, then changes his face to avoid getting caught. Meanwhile, Shinichi keeps walking to school. His right hand speaks up and tells him to call it Migi. During PE, Shinichi scores a basket. Yuko says Murano will forgive him if he makes another shot. Kazuki Nagai, a classmate, steps on Shinichi's foot on purpose, but Shinichi still scores, silently thanking Migi, which annoys Nagai. Later, Shinichi apologizes to Murano, who says he can make it up with pancakes. As she walks off, Migi morphs into a phallic shape, freaking Shinichi out, so he quickly hides it from Murano. Nagai confronts Shinichi outside, accusing him of stealing Murano. He starts a fight, but Migi stretches out and punches Nagai in the face, scaring him away. In the bathroom, Shinichi tells Migi not to speak when others are around. Curious about human reproduction, Migi tries to get Shinichi turned on until Shinichi shuts it down. Another student walks in, confused by Shinichi talking to himself. After school, Yuko tells Shinichi about the global mincemeat murders, where victims are ripped apart. At home, Shinichi says they should stop the killings. Migi refuses, threatening to blind or silence Shinichi if he puts them at risk. When Shinichi calls Migi a devil, Migi fires back that humans are basically demons themselves. Later, while walking, Migi senses another parasite nearby. Shinichi decides to lure it to a playground, ready to fight. The parasite shows up, chops off one of Migi's arms, and offers for Migi to relocate and share a body to team up. Migi refuses and kills the parasite instead. When Shinichi asks if Migi did it to save him, Migi says it wasn't sure relocation was possible, then falls asleep. That night, Shinichi quietly feels grateful Migi chose him over another parasite. The next day, Shinichi treats Murano to pancakes, and they have a nice time together. They go to the playground but find three teens throwing rocks at a cat stuck in the sandbox up to its neck. Shinichi frees the cat and tells the kids, animals are living beings just like people. As he walks away, the boys throw rocks at him, but he catches everyone without even looking. Coldly, he warns he could eat them, and the teens run off. Murano and Shinichi walk home holding hands. She asks if he's really Shinichi, and he assures her he is. Meanwhile, the mysterious man from earlier stands naked in a room with a woman, hinting at something shady coming up. The total number of dismemberments by parasites, or mincemeat murders, as they are commonly known, has now risen to 84. At school, Migi senses the presence of another parasite nearby, Ryoko Tamiya, the new math teacher. Through brief eye contact, Tamiya immediately notices Migi residing in Shinichi's body. Migi comments on Tamiya's apparent desire to blend into human society and reassures Shinichi that she does not seem like an immediate threat to him or the humans around them. Ryoko then suggests they go somewhere else to have a more in-depth conversation. Migi quickly agrees to meet with her after school to discuss the future of their species. At the meeting, Tamiya brings along another parasite named A, who instantly shows hostility and disdain towards Shinichi. During their discussion, Tamiya reveals that by mating with A, she has become pregnant with a normal human baby. She explains that when inhuman parasites reproduce whether with humans or with other parasites, the resulting child is always a normal human. This means their kind cannot reproduce to create more parasites. A, uninterested in understanding more about their nature or the reason they must consume humans to survive, leaves the meeting halfway through. The following day, A goes on a rampage at Shinichi's school, forcing the students to evacuate. Migi suggests using other students as shields against A, but Shinichi strongly refuses. Instead, he leads A to a secluded wing of the school and builds a barricade of tables. Migi points out that Shinichi's independent brain function gives them a tactical advantage and provides him with a weapon. A manages to break through Shinichi's barricade, and the two prepare to fight. Shinichi and A face off, with Migi sticking to defense while Shinichi goes on the offense. Turns out A totally underestimates how strong they are together. Shinichi seizes the chance and stabs a chair leg through one of A's major arteries, seriously injuring him. A can't keep his human face anymore and tries to share a host with Ryoko Tamiya, but she kills him first by lighting a gas leak. With rumors swirling about the father of her baby, Tamiya quits her teaching job. Later, she meets Shinichi and talks about instincts, how every animal has them, and for parasites, it's to eat humans. She says she plans to keep the baby for experiments and even threatens to kill Shinichi, but she stops when she notices something's changed in him. That night, Tamiya's mom comes to visit but quickly realizes her daughter isn't who she used to be. She tries to call the cops, but Tamiya kills her before she can. The next morning, Shinichi freaks out when Migi's right arm goes missing. But Migi just went for a stroll and comes back casually, reattaching himself when he sees Shinichi's panic. Migi shares his theory that parasites can move to new hosts once they fully take over a human head. Meanwhile, Shinichi's parents are getting ready to head to the countryside. At first, Shinichi protests because of the ongoing mincemeat murders, which makes his mom suspicious that he's hiding something. She remembers saving him from hot oil when he was a kid and burning herself instead. Migi assures Shinichi the chance of parasites attacking in the countryside is low. Shinichi finally agrees and tells his parents he's okay with them going. His mom still senses something's off, but he just says he was worried about being lonely. The couple leaves for their trip. Back at home, Ryoko Tamiya feels her baby move inside her womb. A parasite controlling a woman's body gets seriously hurt in a car crash and jumps into the guy driving instead, but it struggles to control the new body properly. The next day, on the way to school, Migi notices Shinichi's friends are starting to see changes in how he acts. Shinichi runs into Nagai getting bullied by Mitsuo's gang and tries to step in. Kana, thinking Shinichi's weak, tells Mitsuo not to waste energy on him. But when she looks closely into Shinichi's eyes, she senses something not quite human has changed inside him. Mitsuo gets jealous and turns his anger towards Satomi, roughing Shinichi up even more. But then Kamiju, Nagai, and some other students from Shinichi's school jump in to confront Mitsuo's gang. After the fight, a shaken Satomi walks Shinichi home but won't stay over. Migi notices Kana has a weird ability to spot parasites and warns Shinichi to stay away from her. Meanwhile, the parasite from the crash is cruising the highway looking for a new female host. It runs into Nobuko and Kazuyuki. With Kazuyuki watching, The parasite quickly beheads Nobuko and takes over her body. Shocked, Kazuyuki calls Shinichi, babbling about Nobuko and monsters. Shinichi immediately regrets not telling his parents about Migi sooner. When Nobuko's possessed body gets home, Shinichi can't accept his mom is gone. He even holds a knife to his own arm, trying to stop Migi from attacking her. The parasite in Nobuko's body says it's going to make sure Kazuyuki dies too. Shinichi remembers the burn scar on Nobuko's wrist from when she saved him as a kid by getting burned herself. But the parasite in her body has no memories or feelings. Without warning, it stabs Shinichi's heart with a blade-like appendage. After Nobuko's possessed body stabs Shinichi through the heart, Migi jumps into the wound and takes over his heart's job while the real one heals. The plan is for Migi to travel through his bloodstream and get back to Shinichi's right hand eventually. The next day at school, Shinichi's friends, especially Murano, start to worry since he's been missing. That night, Shinichi wakes up and notices his puncture wound is totally healed. Plus, he realizes he doesn't need glasses anymore. Then he gets a call from Sakurazaki Hospital where his dad, Kazuyuki, is staying. On the way there, Shinichi tells Murano he'll be gone for a bit, but promises to come back. Determined to kill the parasite that took over his mom, he heads to the hospital. Meanwhile, the investigators convince Kazuyuki his memories of the attack were just hallucinations. When Shinichi meets his dad, he's shocked that even though he feels deep grief, he can't cry. He stays at the Namiki Inn, run by Makiko Hayase's family. That night, Migi lets him know there's a new downside to the heart repair. Shinichi now needs 4 hours of sleep every day, during which neither of them can sense parasites or any danger. The next day, Shinichi keeps watch outside the hospital. Migi spots a parasite near the coast. Makiko mistakenly sends him toward a seawall, but Shinichi easily jumps several meters from a standstill, bypassing it. Then he confronts the parasite Migi detected. The parasite Migi spotted on the beach turns out to be Mamoru Uda, whose jaw is actually a parasite. Like Shinichi, Uda's parasite, named Jaw, has its own independent brain function. It's revealed that a parasite once tried to take over Uda on a cliff, burrowing into his neck. After Uda fell into the sea, Jaw had to mature fully inside his jaw to save its host. Shinichi and Uda decide to team up to stop the hostile parasites. That night, Migi explains why Shinichi's physical abilities are boosted. About 30% of his body mass is split into tiny fragments, but the more Migi divides, the dumber those pieces get, until they can't think at all. These fragments move throughout Shinichi's body to help heal his heart, but they get so tiny Migi can't communicate with them anymore. The next day, when Makiko comes by, Shinichi asks if he looks normal. She's not happy he's still hiding stuff from her. Then during a phone call, Uda warns them about a parasite in town, the one controlling Nobuko's body, spotted by Jaw. Shinichi chases after it, but Migi falls asleep and turns into a blade to help Shinichi survive. The imposter corners Uda and Jaw on a cliff, and a quick fight breaks out. Uda gets stabbed in the chest and falls. Shinichi fights the parasite, using his heightened senses to dodge and strike. Right when he's about to finish it off, seeing his mom's burn mark makes him hesitate. The parasite takes advantage, but Jaw surprises her and kills her instead. Jaw had shifted Uda's heart to protect him. Before Shinichi leaves town with his dad, Makiko says she hopes to see him again. Kana senses Shinichi nearby and Murano greets him when he gets back. Ryoko Tamiya, still pregnant, asks another parasite named Shimada to pose as a transfer student at Shinichi's school. But she tells him to watch Shinichi closely without killing him, thinking Shinichi might be important for their species' future. Meanwhile, as Kana walks past Mitsuo, he spots a photo of Shinichi on her phone and asks if she likes him, but Kana just brushes him off and keeps chasing after Shinichi. Mitsuo corners Shinichi and rudely asks if he's involved with Kana. This time, Shinichi stands up for himself and holds his ground. Murano steps in, and they walk away together. Murano even comments on how much Shinichi has changed again. As they walk, Kana senses Shinichi coming up the stairs. At home, Shinichi finds his dad starting to drink heavily and talks to Migi about how he's been feeling different inside. Since Migi's cells are spread throughout his body, Shinichi's senses like his hearing are insanely sharp now. On the street, Shinichi rescues an injured dog, but it dies in his hands, so he ends up tossing it in a trash bin. Murano doesn't like how he handles it and points out again how much he's changed before leaving him behind. Feeling guilty, Shinichi later gives the dog a proper burial. At school, Migi spots Shimada. Shimada says he lives on a diet like normal humans and claims he and Tamiya are trying to figure out how parasites can survive without eating humans. Kana runs into Shimada and thinks she's sensing Shinichi's presence, but Shinichi warns her not to rely on that ability. Turns out, Yuko Tachikawa has a crush on Shimada. But then, Shimada kills and eats a teenage girl, revealing he'd been lying to both Shinichi and Migi. Kana senses Shimada behind her again. Mitsuo shows up, gets annoyed, and drags Shimada to a public bathroom for a fight, but Shimada easily beats him. Shimada warns Mitsuo that if he comes after him again, he'll kill him. At school, Akiho teases Yuko for drawing Shimada, saying his face is so perfect it looks fake, which makes Yuko start doubting him. Meanwhile, Kazuyuki meets with government agents who confirm the monster that killed his wife is real, but say they're keeping it secret to avoid panic. Tamiya talks with some unknown person saying humans are destructive, but we are the cure. After the agents leave, Kazuyuki decides it's time to tell Shinichi the truth about his mom. Later, Yuko shows her police sketch artist brother a picture of Shimada, asking if anything looks off. He says it's hard to tell from just a drawing. The next day, Yuko spots Shimada standing weirdly in the open until a stray ball hits his head, shocking her. Shinichi tries to make up with Murano, but Migi senses Shimada's hostility. Shimada is surrounded by Mitsuo and his gang, so Shinichi abandons the talk to stop them. At an abandoned spot, he jumps in before Shimada can attack and tells him to back off. He warns the gang never to mess with Shimada again, blocking the leader's punch easily. Back with Murano, Shinichi notices Shimada watching and coldly tells him to leave. Murano accuses Shinichi of not being himself and asks if he's really Shinichi. He snaps at her to shut up, and she walks off. At home, Shinichi reflects on how much he's changed, blaming the hole in his chest. Migi argues he's actually become stronger and more mentally tough. Meanwhile, Yuko follows Shimada and watches him change his face. Instead of telling her brother, she decides to confront Shimada herself. The next day, she invites him to talk alone, saying she doesn't want to see him differently, but if he really is a monster that eats people, he should leave and never come back. Shimada now plans to kill her. Downstairs, Migi senses Shimada's murderous intent rising. In class, Shinichi frantically tells Migi to find out where Shimada is. Shinichi notices Yuko's missing from class and goes to look for her. Upstairs, Yuko faces off against Shimada in his full parasite form. Terrified, she trips but dodges his attack. Her bottle of paint thinner rolls in front of her, so she throws it above him. When Shimada smashes it, the thinner burns his body. It even seeps inside, stopping him from turning back into a human. Migi notices Shimada's brainwaves are all scrambled, his damaged cells are stuck in attack mode, and when a teacher and 2 students show up to check, Shimada kills them instantly. Migi can't pinpoint Shimada's exact location, but knows he's heading towards Shinichi's class. With so many people in the way, Migi tells everyone to evacuate. Outside, Shinichi realizes Murano's class is missing and goes back inside. On one floor, he finds a massacre. His heart feels like it's breaking, but he pushes through. He rescues Murano, but can't save 2 classmates who run right into danger. Carrying her to safety, Shinichi shows off some serious strength. The police arrive, but their revolvers barely hurt Shimada. Determined to finish this, Shinichi hides over 300 meters away so Shimada can't sense him. When Shimada appears on the rooftop, Shinichi and Migi team up to throw a rock straight through his heart, killing him. A week later, the news blames the massacre on a drug-addicted student, covering up the truth. Shinichi wonders why the public isn't told about parasites. Migi explains it would just cause paranoia since people wouldn't know how to spot them, turning communities against each other. Shinichi suggests helping the police, but Migi refuses, saying it only looks out for itself. Meanwhile, government officials debate whether to go public. One suggests not revealing parasites, but releasing a way to detect them. Dr. Yui explains their discovery from Shimada's body. Parasites are sentient muscle. If you cut off their blood, parts of them die. Pulling a human hair does nothing, but a parasite's hair wriggles for a few seconds before dying. Later, the school reopens. The government never tells the truth, but a weird new trend starts. Students greet each other by pulling a hair to check if someone's a parasite. A drunk woman playfully pulls a man's hair, only to see it wriggle and then die. Realizing he's a parasite, the man kills her and hides the body, totally unnoticed by another parasite passing by. Kana dreams about being rescued by a knightly Shinichi before waking up. On her way to school, she tries to pull Shinichi's hair, but he stops her and lets her take one strand willingly. She asks about Shimada. Shinichi says he just had a bad feeling and warns her that her ability to sense parasites is risky. Migi also tells Shinichi to keep his distance from her. Meanwhile, a muscle-bound man storms into a Yakuza office and slaughters everyone without morphing at first. He counts the wounds he takes, 3 in total, calling it an experiment on fighting armed humans. Then he takes on one victim's identity. Shinichi meets Murano for tea but avoids talking about his dad's injury. Later, seeing a mom ignore her unruly kid triggers a flashback to the school massacre, which he pushes down hard. Walking home, he wonders if Migi replacing part of his heart has made him tougher, though he still really cares for Murano. They kiss, but Murano quietly wishes they'd grown closer sooner so she could fully believe he's still the same Shinichi. The next day, Shinichi meets Kana for what she promises is her last request. While they wait, Migi senses multiple parasites nearby, first 5, then 8, all at an election rally where parasites are running for mayor. One of the guards spots Shinichi just as Kana approaches. Things are getting out of control now, and the story's only getting darker. If you're hooked and want to see how far this goes, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode recap. Trust me, you're gonna need backup for what's coming next. Shinichi pulls Kana away from the parasite-packed rally, warning her again not to follow that weird sense of hers. That night, he and Migi figure out the parasite mayor's plan, create a safe spot with a steady food supply. The next day, while watching the mayor's hotel, Shinichi runs into Kana again. She admits her sense sometimes points to random people, but won't give it up. Ignoring Migi's advice, Shinichi meets her later in an abandoned building while Migi's asleep. He tells her the harsh truth about parasites, hoping to scare her into being careful, but she's sure she can always spot him. Soon, the parasite mayor wins the election. Kana starts tailing Shinichi and Murano, upset that he can't sense her back. Migi warns her power is evolving. She's now sending a signal parasites can pick up. Freaked out, Shinichi decides it's time to show Migi to her. He switches their meeting spot for safety, but Kana ignores the change. With a strand of Shinichi's hair tied to her finger, she follows her signal straight to that abandoned building. There, she finds a parasite feeding on a human. It attacks her right away. Shinichi arrives too late. Kana is fatally impaled. Furious, he lets Migi handle the fight while he smashes the parasite's heart with his bare hands. Kana dies in his arms, telling him she dreamed this moment before. At her funeral, Shinichi can't shed a tear and wonders if he's still human. Migi coldly says her reckless nature sealed her fate. Sometime after Kana's death, Shinichi's classmates gossip about the murder. Akiho blurts out that he found the body. Shinichi quietly leaves, still haunted by her death, and runs into Murano. As they walk home, she comforts him and takes his hand. Elsewhere, a group of parasites talk about the killed member, careless for feeding outside his territory, and the problem of humans now having another parasite sample. Tamiya shows up, saying Shinichi is a valuable subject. The others leave him to her. Later, she soothes her baby with an eerie calm that unsettles the babysitter. Tamiya also hires a private investigator to watch Shinichi. The next day, some men confront Shinichi, but he easily beats them. The PI films the fight and reports back to Tamiya, suspicious of Shinichi's humanity but noting nothing unusual about his right hand. Meanwhile, Murano starts feeling uneasy about Shinichi's cold calm after Kana's death. That night, Shinichi visits where Kana died, wanting to mourn properly. The PI records him, but Migi urges Shinichi to kill the guy for safety. Shinichi refuses, making Migi back down. Watching the footage, they see the PI has been following them for a while. Migi warns if the man's tied to the government, they could end up lab specimens, sending Shinichi into a panic attack at school. At home, Shinichi thinks about cutting Migi off but stops. Hearing breathing outside, he spots the PI injured on crutches. Shinichi calls out but doesn't chase him. Later, at a park, Murano confronts Shinichi about canceling their date for Kana and accuses him of hiding something deep. She tells him he doesn't have to carry it alone. Shinichi wants to tell her the truth, but with Migi listening, he denies anything's wrong. Murano turns to leave, and Shinichi almost confesses but Migi convinces him not to. For her safety, he coldly repeats that nothing's wrong. Murano, hurt, says his eyes look empty now. That night, Shinichi tells Migi the guy tailing them was watching his house earlier, but he didn't say anything so Migi wouldn't kill him. Migi, more chill now, decides killing's unnecessary and suggests they track everyone involved in the investigation. The next day, Shinichi meets up with Uda, and they compare notes on the investigator's description, agreeing to keep an eye out. Elsewhere, the investigator meets Tamiya at a cafe. She acts like she doesn't believe his parasite claims and tells him to see a doctor. When he accuses her of knowing about Shinichi's hand, she brushes him off and ends their partnership. Later, she reflects on how weird it is she can laugh now, something pretty human-like while at home with her baby. That night, the investigator's wife worries about his injuries and nightmares, telling him to leave dangerous stuff to the cops. But he's determined and vows to get to the bottom of it. The next day, Uda spots the investigator trailing Shinichi, signals Migi, and they trap him. They kidnap the guy to a quiet spot where Shinichi explains everything about Migi. The investigator listens but still doubts. When asked to keep quiet, he refuses, demanding they reveal themselves for humanity's sake. Migi warns they'll protect themselves and reveals his client is Tamiya, saying she might kill the investigator if he pushes too far. Later, Tamiya calls Shinichi and sets up a rooftop meeting at a university. After a lecture on parental care in animals, she joins Shinichi and confirms the baby is hers. She denies directly messing with the mayor's election, but says parasites are evolving and thinking about coexisting with humans. She compares how humans treat livestock to how parasites see people. Shinichi admits he can never forgive them since one killed his mom. Sensing this, Tamiya taunts him about her death, firing up his rage. Using the baby as a shield, she escapes when students arrive. Shinichi tries to calm down, but a fortune teller stops him, telling him he's got a hole in his heart that only facing the cause can close. Shinichi smiles darkly and says the one responsible is already dead by his own hands. A private investigator is tailing Tamiya and a man from a cafe but gets ordered to follow the man instead. At an arcade, the PI sees the man leave with a young woman and keeps tracking them to an underground parking lot. While searching, the PI stumbles on the woman's corpse before the man sneaks up behind him and kills him by choking. Later, another PI approaches Shinichi on his way to school, asking for help. He leads Shinichi to the same parking lot, saying it was his colleague's last known spot. Migi doesn't sense any parasites, but Shinichi smells death. Then Migi picks up one, arriving by car. A man enters with a woman, telling her to stay still. Shinichi hides and watches the PI record everything. When the man's head starts splitting, Shinichi warns the woman to run, but she's killed. Shinichi and Migi quickly take down the parasite. Shinichi feels bad for not saving her, but Migi focuses on the bigger issue. This place is a feeding ground run by Hirokawa's group, so Shinichi's interference is basically a declaration of war. The PI pukes, shaken. In a nearby park, Shinichi suggests giving the footage to another investigator, but Migi warns it's too risky. The PI destroys the evidence and decides to quit for his family's safety. Later, parasites meet to discuss Shinichi's growing threat. Tamiya says killing him is a waste, but others say her human mom instincts are clouding her judgment. Since Shinichi killed in their feeding zone, they vote to kill him. Tamiya agrees but asks for his body intact for research. The assassin picked is Goto, a super dangerous multi-parasite. That night, Shinichi dreams of Migi as a monstrous skeleton. At school next day, Migi senses 3 parasites coming to kill Shinichi. At first, Migi agrees to fight them one-on-one, but then suddenly says it'll sleep for 4 hours and tells Shinichi to run. Shinichi escapes in a taxi, but another car tails him. A man with weirdly expressive behavior reveals himself as a parasite. Shinichi bolts and later hitchhikes with strangers, worried they might be parasites too. When Migi finally wakes up, it reveals all 3 parasite signatures belong to one body, Goto. The night before, some elite parasites broke into Kuramori's house and brutally killed his wife and kid before slipping away in the dark. Minutes later, Kuramori got home and found them lying in a pool of blood. Now, Goto shows up, mocking Shinichi. Migi tells Shinichi to keep calm, but Goto attacks with 6 tentacles all at once. Shinichi runs, knowing he won't last long. He tries to take out Goto's legs, but Goto suddenly appears, carried closer by a passing truck. Migi steps in to protect, giving Shinichi a chance to strike, only to realize Goto's legs aren't even human. Migi figures out that Goto's body has 5 parasites inside, with Goto's head as the boss. Now way faster and stronger, Goto pushes Shinichi back, morphing his legs into springy shapes to chase him down. Shinichi and Migi jump onto a moving truck, hiding in the back. Goto catches up, so Migi swerves the truck into oncoming traffic, crashing into another vehicle and knocking Goto away. Goto survives and kills 2 good Samaritans who tried to help. Meanwhile, Kuramori looks for Hirama, the detective on parasite cases. He can't meet right away, so he waits. Shinichi and Migi sneak back into the city and hide in an alley. Migi hands Shinichi some stolen cash for new clothes, which sparks a bit of a moral debate. At a cafe, Shinichi sees the news about Kuramori's family and calls his dad, telling him to leave home immediately. That night, Kuramori finally meets Hirama and offers info in exchange for help getting revenge. Elsewhere, Tamiya scolds the parasites who botched the hit on Kuramori, warning them not to underestimate humans. Shortly after, 3 parasites, including Kusano, jump her on the street, suspecting she's turned traitor. Tamiya leads her attackers to a construction site and takes down the first by splitting her body and impaling him. A nearby couple sees her but thinks she's just a normal person until she splits her head open, freaking them out. Kusano hears the screams and starts thinking she's a real threat now. He goes back to the site and finds the second attacker infected. Despite her begging, Kusano kills her. Feeling cocky, Kusano doesn't see Tamiya sneak up behind him. She decapitates him, merges her body back together, and leaves him to die for underestimating her. At home, Tamiya finds the door unlocked and her baby gone. There's a letter from Kuramori telling her to meet him at Hikari Park. Worried, she checks Shinichi's house but finds it empty. Later, Shinichi learns his dad is missing and gets a shock when Tamiya answers his home phone. She tells him to meet her at the park at 5:20 p.m. for him to learn something new about himself. While thinking about motherhood, Tamiya gets a visit from Murano, who asks about Shinichi. Tamiya reassures her he'll be fine, but Murano still feels uneasy. Later, Murano sees Shinichi getting on a bus heading to the park and tries to chase after Tamiya but can't catch her. Meanwhile, detectives find Kuramori's letter and rush to the park. At the park, Tamiya faces off with Kuramori, who's holding her baby on a balcony. He says she can't understand human grief, but her emotions grow so strong that even Migi picks up on them from far away. When Kuramori threatens to drop the baby, Tamiya strikes him with her tentacles and saves the child. Before falling to his death, Kuramori admits he'd never hurt a baby and feels at peace. Detectives arrive soon after and see Kuramori dying below. He gives Hirama a description of Tamiya and says she's carrying a blood-stained baby. He won't reveal who his partner was, but dies content, thinking he'll reunite with loved ones. Hirama's team splits up to find Tamiya and Shinichi's partner. Meanwhile, Shinichi spots Tamiya standing in the middle of the park, holding her baby. Shinichi faces Tamiya, staring into her cold, empty eyes, fighting the urge to kill her. Migi tells him to listen. Tamiya lays out her theory: parasites and humans are two sides of the same coin. She hopes her research will find a new food source for her kind. She warns Shinichi about Goto, saying he got lucky facing Migi first. Shinichi questions her mixed messages, but she just laughs. Before they can talk more, Hirama and the cops surround them. Hirama spots the bloodied baby and confirms Tamiya's identity. He plays it cool, pretending not to know Shinichi, then suddenly pulls his gun on Tamiya. She tries to calm things down and even convinces some officers, but then Hirama shoots her in the head. She spits the bullet out and the police open fire. Tamiya shields the baby, taking many hits. Murano hears the gunfire and tries to run, but Kana's voice somehow pushes her back. As Tamiya weakens, she walks to Shinichi, finally smiling. She apologizes for her kind's cruelty and thanks him for inspiring her to learn about both humans and parasites. She hands over the baby safely, then collapses and dies. Migi wonders why she said thank you to someone she once hated. Holding the baby, Shinichi recalls memories of his mother, tears streaming as Murano arrives. Police secure the scene, question Shinichi at the station, then release him. Murano goes back to her routine but thinks about why the park event was kept secret. She feels relieved that the real Shinichi is back. Later, Hirama makes Shinichi wait while he fetches a serial killer named Uragami, someone whose instincts can sniff out parasites. Uragami's rude and mocking, but has to identify any parasite among 5 people without hurting them. The first person is quickly dismissed as normal. The second, an attractive woman, makes Uragami flash himself, causing her to flee in disgust. Others come and go, equally unsettled. Finally, Shinichi steps up. Uragami jokes at first, but then gets deadly serious when he looks at Shinichi. Shinichi feels the tension as Uragami eyeballs him. The serial killer's mind drifts back. He's a self-taught dissector who can tell humans from parasites by instinct. His animal sense kicked in after he tracked a parasite to a feeding ground, where he found a mangled woman's corpse. He wanted to act, but the cops arrested him first. Now, with Shinichi in front of him, Uragami lies to Hirama and says Shinichi's human. Hirama lets him go but keeps a close watch. When Shinichi asks about Tamiya's baby, Hirama says the kid's safe with child services and hints Shinichi might want to adopt. At home, Shinichi broods about Uragami and wonders why people like him exist. He's still puzzled by Tamiya's sudden change. Meanwhile, Hirama and Officer Yamagishi meet the police director to push for using Uragami to find parasites at City Hall. The plan gets approved. Goto hears that Kusano and Tamiya are dead, and her body's been taken to a secret lab. Parasites realize the government's tightening control and decide to be extra cautious. The next day, Murano hands Shinichi some notes to catch up on school. During PE, Shinichi sprints 100 meters in 10.5 seconds, stunning everyone. In the locker room, a friend accidentally spots the healed hole in his chest. At lunch, Hirama invites Shinichi to join the upcoming operation. Murano protests, worried he's always in danger, but Hirama pushes the offer. That night, Yamagishi briefs Shinichi and asks about weapons. Shinichi remembers his talk with Migi and suggests flamethrowers, the best parasite repellent. Yamagishi likes the idea and tells him to get rest for the big day. Morning arrives. Police vehicles surround City Hall, trapping Goto and others inside. Workers are evacuated in groups of 7, passing through sensors to spot parasites. Uragami waits by the exit to confirm identities, while Shinichi rides with Hirama, keeping an eye out. The first group passes clean. Migi can't sense any parasites from this far. Then on Yamagishi's X-ray scanner, a figure shows up with no skull. It's a parasite. Yamagishi spots a parasite sneaking with the evacuees and immediately orders his team to open fire. Shotguns go off, and they take her down before she can fully transform. They quickly get rid of the body. Shinichi and Migi sense her death from the car, but just stay on standby. The gunfire sets off panic inside City Hall. The parasites realize they're being hunted and might have to make a move fast. Evacuations keep going, but Yamagishi notices something weird. Hirama calls and says the parasites have been communicating telepathically for about an hour. To fight that, he tells Yamagishi to trust Uragami's instincts more. A complaint pops up about a guy named Hirakawa who's refusing to leave and insisting everyone stays safe. Yamagishi's suspicious and orders his men to bring him out. Meanwhile, Uragami gets moved into Yamagishi's truck. The next evacuees pass the scanner, but Yamagishi's X-ray spots a worker with 3 skulls. Uragami points him out, but when they shoot, the guy turns out to be human. Chaos erupts, and Uragami orders fire on another man and a woman nearby, both parasites this time. The shootings cause even more panic. Goto, Hirakawa, and other parasites retreat upstairs. Yamagishi heads inside and fires a warning shot through a human to keep people in line. He splits his squad and starts sweeping rooms with Uragami. One parasite tries using a human as a shield but gets shot, taking the hostage down with him. Upstairs, Goto and Hirakawa decide to use the chaos to their advantage. Yamagishi learns where they are, but when his team gets there, they find their own comrades slaughtered. Nearby, Uragami clears 2 humans, but the next human turns out to be a parasite, quickly killed. The squad keeps picking off parasites, one dropping dead right at Goto's feet. When they finally face Goto, Uragami freaks out, yelling he's not human and bolts. Goto tricks the remaining officers into a big room, lets them shoot him, then fires pellets back at lightning speed, wiping out the squad. Yamagishi gets the bad news that his men are wiped out. Goto calmly walks away shirtless and completely unharmed. Elsewhere, they find Hirakawa hiding in a conference room. Hirakawa shows up and tries to get the group to listen, but Yamagishi orders him killed. Instead, Hirakawa gives a speech saying parasites actually prevent humanity's extinction and that humans are the real parasites. The soldiers broadcast it, which shocks Shinichi and Migi because it actually kind of makes sense. Right after Hirakawa dies, they realize he was human. Then Goto shows up, sympathizing with the only human who understood them. Yamagishi's partner finds Goto's victims and realizes how dangerous this is. When Yamagishi hears about Hirakawa's death and that Goto is around, he tells his men to stay put, but then gunshots ring out. Turns out, Uragami shot Yamagishi's partner. Meanwhile, Goto gets ready to fight. Migi tells Shinichi to run, but Shinichi stays. Goto attacks, tanking all the bullets like they're nothing. Yamagishi tries to lure him to the roof, but Goto's already killed everyone else, leaving just Yamagishi alive. On the roof, Goto warns about weak spots in his armor. Yamagishi empties his guns, but Goto dodges, knocks him down, and rips his head off. Then he finds Shinichi and is disappointed a parasite is helping the enemy, promising to kill him later. Hirama steps in but can't hurt Goto. He questions Shinichi, who denies knowing Goto would be there. Hirama lets him go. That night, Shinichi wakes up to Migi calling his name. They talk about how to beat Goto. Migi suggests getting the military involved, but Shinichi thinks it's too risky. They decide to run away to the countryside. The next morning, Shinichi skips school and realizes Migi's asleep, which leaves him vulnerable. Panicking, he runs into the city, seeing Goto's face on everyone around him. 2 thugs try to mess with him, but he knocks them out, still haunted by Goto's face. That evening, Shinichi meets Murano, hugs her way too tightly, then bolts. Later at the park, Murano finds him sulking. They talk and she invites him to her place. That night, they get close again, and it reignites Shinichi's will to fight Goto. In bed, Shinichi confesses his love, and Murano warmly responds before they become intimate. The next morning, Shinichi leaves Murano's place, but Migi senses Goto coming in fast. They steal a car and crash into Goto's ride, sending it over a cliff, but Goto just walks out unscathed and heads into the forest. Migi tells Shinichi to run, then stops him with a risky plan. Since Goto can only sense parasites, they'll split up. Fire can weaken parasites temporarily, so Shinichi will attack with flames while Migi tries to chop off Goto's head. If that works, Goto's body should collapse. Knowing Migi can't survive long apart from Shinichi, they settle on the plan. Goto chases Migi's signal, but realizes too late it's a trap. While Goto is distracted, Shinichi throws a flaming spear into his leg, messing up his cells. Migi slashes at Goto's neck, but can't fully cut it off. Goto just reattaches his head, forcing Migi to yell at Shinichi to run. As Shinichi escapes, Migi shrivels up and dies before Goto catches up. Shinichi jumps off a cliff into a river and mourns Migi's death. By night, he finds an old woman's house, begs to stay, and she reluctantly agrees. She takes care of his wounds, feeds him, and lets him rest. The next day, she takes him to the dump, complaining about how city folks trash the place and recalling a past forest fire. Her words help Shinichi see the parasites side of things. Over the following days, he helps her with chores and listens to her stories. One night, Shinichi dreams of a tiny Migi and wakes up to see an eye open on his hand before Migi drifts back to sleep. The next day, a villager claims they saw Goto eating a corpse. Elders gather at the woman's place, starting to suspect Shinichi. Police and villagers investigate and find a rotting body, probably a victim of the mincemeat murderer. That night, Shinichi tells the woman the truth. He has to sacrifice himself to protect others. She gets annoyed and urges him to keep living. Later, when Shinichi tries to leave, she wakes and tells him never to give up on his dreams. She gives him an old butcher's knife for protection. Shinichi bows, thankful, and gets ready to face what's coming. That night, Shinichi heads into the forest, ready to take down Goto even if it costs him his life. He finds Goto hibernating and sneaks in to strike with his cleaver. But Goto wakes just in time, blocks the attack, and Shinichi has to dive into the bushes to avoid getting hit. Remembering what the old lady said, Shinichi comes up with a plan. He grabs a tree branch, hides above Goto, and tries to ambush him, but it's too slow. Goto blocks the hit, injures Shinichi, then punches him hard, sending him crashing into the landfill the old lady showed him. Beat up and frustrated, Shinichi almost gives up. Then he recalls Tamiya's tip about Goto's weak spot, a muscle below his back. Snatching a rusty iron rod from the trash, he stabs Goto there. Goto screams, but Shinichi dodges the counterattack and runs into the forest. Goto pulls out the rod and corners Shinichi, asking how he knew. Shinichi says he saw Goto bleed there before. Goto, impressed by the guts, gets ready to kill him, but a tiny part of Migi suddenly shows up, blocking the strike and rejoining Shinichi. Goto tries attacking again but can't control his body. Migi explains the iron rod had toxins from the trash, poisoning Goto. Waiting for the right moment, Migi strikes, and Goto's body bursts apart. As they regroup, Migi says that while inside Goto, he absorbed tons of info. But then Migi spots parasite cells returning to Goto's main body. He's trying to revive himself. Migi insists Shinichi finish him off. Shinichi hesitates, wanting to let nature take its course, but quickly sees the danger. He goes back and destroys Goto for good. The next day, villagers find Goto's corpse in the forest. Shinichi returns the old cleaver to the woman and heads back to the city. A few days later, Shinichi reads online that parasites are now blending into human society and surviving without eating people. One night, Migi tries to wake Shinichi but finds him in a deep sleep. Migi enters his subconscious and says he's going into a long hibernation to process all the info from Goto's body and might never wake up again. Shinichi protests, but Migi says goodbye, warns him to watch out for traffic accidents, and fades away. Shinichi wakes up remembering everything, throws a little tantrum, then heads to meet Murano for a study session. She teases him before they get started. While Shinichi's been busy fighting parasites, Murano and her friends graduated and got into college. She helps him prep for his entrance exams, though he can't stop thinking about Migi. While they study, Murano mentions crime has been rising in the city. Shinichi's relieved it's not parasite-related. They leave the park, not noticing Uragami is stalking them. Back in the city, Shinichi spots someone who looks like Uragami lurking nearby but ignores it, until Uragami suddenly kidnaps Murano and drags her to a rooftop. Shinichi chases after them and arrives just as Uragami holds Murano near the edge. Uragami demands to know who Shinichi really is, saying humans were born cannibals but have more control than parasites do. He taunts Murano with the truth about Shinichi's chest wound. Shinichi admits he's not as strong as before and offers his opinion if Uragami lets Murano go. Murano interrupts, telling Shinichi to leave her and call the police, accepting her fate. Instead, Shinichi charges Uragami and breaks his jaw. Uragami drops Murano off the edge. Shinichi lunges to save her, but misses, screaming in horror, then suddenly feels Migi's presence helping him grab her hand. He pulls Murano to safety and thanks Migi for this last act. As Murano wakes up, Shinichi remembers the stray dog he once threw in the trash. Murano says she always knew he buried it because that's just who he is. Moments later, people rush onto the rooftop and find them.